Well, hello everyone. Very glad to have you alongside us today. Hope you're all doing okay. And welcome to Hartley Lands Fishery. Not Elfix today, thought we'd change it up a little bit, but welcome to Hartley Lands Fishery and welcome to Reservoir Lake, where we're going to be fishing here for the next 36 hours. It's a nice Friday morning here, fairly overcast. It's going to be overcast for the rest of the day, quite moderate temperatures. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the pressure in the water is going to be lower today. And it has gone to show. We've had some really truly magnificent carp landed over the past week from a variety of venues in which I've seen, especially via the Swimbooker app and especially Hartley Lands. So Hartley Lands Fishery is one of my favourite venues to go to. It's just brilliant. Everything's where you need it to be, and it comprises of a multitude of lakes. Now, we've got the Spetty Carp Lakes, so we've got Bramley, Pear Tree and Nix Lake. So they've got carp up to and around about the 40-pound mark or so. And we've also got Heinecker, which is a lake which is 2 anglers only. It's a little portion of water as such. It's got 10 fish from the 20-pound mark up to the high 30-pound mark. So there are truly a great opportunity in order to land a personal best as such, but a great opportunity just to land some cracking carp. So Reservoir Lake, the lake which we're fishing, is a prolific water. There is so many carp in here. It goes from the double figure carp up into the 20, up to about the 30-pound mark or so. And there are some great carp in here. This was the first lake I actually visited here at Hartley Lands, and I had such a great time. I've been down here with Grandad, been down here with mates, and they had a great time. So it's really, really enjoyable. And I'm so pleased in order to be back and just show you a little bit about what this lake is about, especially for me personally. I do love a runs water, especially like kettles and sandwich at Elfix. They're great fun, but there's also that chance of landing a carp over 20 pounds or so. So we'll start the session off with a session target. So this session target, I'm very hopeful in order to beat. Got to land 4 carp in total. 1 carp's got to be over the 13-pound mark. So that's the session target. Hopefully we'll reach that as such. But either way, it's just so great to be out bankside, and it's just so great in order to be here. We're fishing alone this time, so Grandad's on other adventures today, but we're back down here in a week's time or so in order to fish Nix Lake, which had a 39 pounds. I don't know how many ounces it was, I think a few weeks back. So that carp lake has been really producing, especially the other lakes, Pear Tree and Bramley. Been a variety of catch reports out of there as of recent. So yeah, it's great to be down here. Great to have you all along. Got to do some setting up now, but once I'm all set up, I'll show you a little bit more about the lake, a little bit about the swim where we're fishing, and the spots in which I'm going to be placing the rig. So it's 2 rods this water, just simply because it's so prolific. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, won't be long till we land our first carp. But yeah, get everything set up and I'll catch you all in a little bit. Well everyone, we're all set up, the bivvy's out and everything is all done, which is good. So what I thought that I would do is go through my rig itself, how I use my method feeder. And in order to do that effectively, I now invested in one of these, which is I think it's like a chest harness as such, so I can put my phone here and I can actually show you what I'm doing. So this is a little bit of a Carp Cal, how I tie my method feeder rig. So I hope it's all right, but yeah, let's get straight into it and I'll show you how we do it. Well everyone, welcome to the Carp Cal tackle bench, as such as I call it, and this is where the magic is going to happen. So I'll talk you through how I tie the rig and what I do in order to get the rig as effective as I can. So the first thing, the most important thing in order to get, is the actual rig itself. So this is by ESP and it's a Mega Method rig. It's a 20-pound camo sink link. You've got an extender stop on the end so that you can accommodate the bigger baits on there. But this I have used for years. It's in my local tackle shop. You can find them online. Angling Direct do them, and I imagine that there's going to be a far and wide variety of tackle shops in which set out these rigs. You can get them in different kind of sizes. You can get them barbless or barbed. Most of the lakes and venues I visit require you to have barbless, so you can find them on both sides and it accommodates whatever your lake's rules are. The second most important thing here is the actual method feeder itself. This is also by ESP. It's a 56 gram method feeder, and it is a nice size. Whether you use a mould in order to put your method mix on or whether you just do it by hand and tie it together, really it is up to you. But this is a perfect size for me in order to accommodate all of the bait I put on there. This is a really important part of it, so you can just see here. So this is actually what it's the actual line is tied to. So it's semi-fixed, and what happens is it fits in the bottom just there, allowing, you know, the actual stop itself in order to pull out, you know, in terms of pressure wise. So same again, it's not fixed. You know that you've got a lot to play with in terms of the feeder itself, and again, really good way in order to fish effectively. And the last thing you need is some rig tubing. So I use Corda in terms of this. I can't remember what size it is, I'll have to have a quick look, but same again, really important, really, you know, important to have rig tubing. Just prevents, you know, the fish from being damaged when you're playing it. So yeah, it's up to you whatever rig tubing you decide to use, but as long as it's obviously longer than the rig itself and you've got a little bit of leeway, can't really go too wrong with it. So the most important thing first of all is to actually put the line through the rig tubing. So we'll get that in top there and we'll push that through, see how well we can do it on our first try. Oh, we're nearly there. Oh, hang on. This is the most frustrating bit sometimes, just making sure you actually get it through. Fingers crossed, please play nice today, rig tubing, play nice. Nearly there, nearly there. Just a few more bits in order to go. And yeah, I mean, it is quite useful in order to just wet your line beforehand, just so it's a little bit more easier in order to get through. But as I say, there's many different ways in which you can do it. But once we've got this part out of the way, then we're on the home run. It's just very tedious, but we're nearly there. There we go, we're through. Righto, so rig tubing on. Second thing we need to do is, it's got a little bit of an additional bit of protection at the top here, just off the top of the method feeder, so just slot that in there. And again, what will happen is this rig tubing here will fit nice and tightly into the top so that the rig is all connected there. So second tedious thing in order to do is actually feed it through the method feeder itself. So we're going to go in through the top here, all the way through. Fingers crossed we managed to do it first time. As I say, it's a little bit, kind of have to work your line around a little bit in order to get it through, but sometimes you get it. So we're not going to get it on the first run here. Same again, sometimes it does just help to wet your line a little bit, but fingers crossed, hopefully. There we go. So we're through the other side. So that's the second bit done there. And the next bit now is actually tying the rig itself. So this is something which I learnt from my granddad. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in through the loop there. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of line. So it's just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it round. So I normally go for around about 6 times or so. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what you'll have there is a little bit of line at the end just to play with. So if I tighten that up just a little bit of line there just to play with. Oh, and the next most important thing, just wrap that around one more time, is to actually finish the loop. So all you do is this little bit of spare line here goes through the loop at the end. Same again, it's a little bit tedious. Through the loop at the end, and then all you do is just pull, hold that line, pull nice and tightly, and there we go. You'll see that we have a nice loop at the top there. You should just be able to see that, hopefully. As I say, make sure that's nice and tight, and there we go. That is the rig tied. Hopefully the camera will focus there, not too sure. There we go, you can kind of see it there. This little bit of additional line here you can just cut. I always give a little bit, just so there's enough, but yeah, make sure that's nice and tight. And then the last thing to do, which is a really easy thing, what we'll do is we'll just slide that in here. So at the bottom of the feeder there, you've got that little hole, so we'll just slot that in there. That's how it works. But the last thing to do is to actually attach the rig itself. So this is really easy. All you need to do is slide this from this little swivel bit at the top there. It falls nicely and nicely at the bottom there. Push that in, and then obviously grab the rest of your rig tube in. Slot that on the top. And there we go. That is a Carp Cal lesson in how I tie my method feeder. It's just really, it's such a great rig. I really cannot fault it in any way. And obviously you can use this stuff at the bottom in order to put your bigger baits on. But ultimately for me, I normally chuck the bait on and then just wrap it around once or so. Just because I like the boilies sitting quite tightly to the bottom of the hook at the bottom there. But anyway, that's how we tie the rig. So the next thing we've got to do is actually put some method mix on and get it in the water. So let's show you how we do that now. So guys, now we've got to a point where we've actually set up the rig. We now need to get to a point where we actually need to put it in the water. So in terms of how we do it, so for me, I use Sonu baits. So this is their Super Crush. So Sonu Bait Super Crush, and it's krill and squid. They do a variety of different flavours of which you can use. But for me, I've always used either chocolate orange or krill and squid. It just so happened that chocolate orange was out of stock, hence why we've gone for krill and squid. But it used to be a case I used to use that all the time, and then when that went out of stock, I used chocolate orange, and now chocolate orange is out of stock, gone back to krill and squid. So, I mean, over time, you kind of tend to work out what method mixes you specifically like, and then matching that to sort of the flavour of your boilies as such. But for me, obviously, the most important thing, especially when presenting the method mix, is that you don't overload it with water. If you overload it with water, it will get to a point where it just won't stick to anything. So you want a nice texture where it just molds together, just so. And as I say, it really does depend. You know, it depends on how much quantity of method mix you've got in there, but it takes a little while. But you do eventually get used to knowing about the right amount of mix in order to put in there. And then after you've done that, it's kind of up to you, really. So for me, I use pellet, hit bait pellet, I chuck a little bit of pellet in there. Same again, don't overload it as such, because you get to a point where you've got more pellet in there than mix in some cases. And because obviously the pellet's a little bit bigger, you want it to be to a point from where, it actually sticks all together. So same again, but it really is up to you. You can put spod syrup in here, you can add additional bits and, bobs as such, really, for your bait, pellet, maggots, just whatever works for you. But for us, this is really what works. So yeah, get it to a nice texture where it sticks all together, and then you can't go too wrong with that. In terms of bait wise, so I've got tuna and crayfish, which is there, and then we're using sweet pineapple on this one. So this is 14 millimeters, and this is a bottom bait. Obviously you can mix it up and such and add different sizes of boilie on there, but for me, I use bottom baits, or if you want to use wafters, really is up to you. It will work all the same. So anyway, let's get that onto there. Get the stopper here, and there you go. So the boilie's on now. Obviously you have got this additional stopper here in order to move the bait down, but for me, I personally like the boilie sitting off just off the corner of where the hook bends round. You still have a little bit of room to play with, but I only give it ever so much, only a few millimeters away, and then I'm confident that that's going to sit there nicely. But same again, it's up to you. Really, whatever way will work, but you tend to find your own way of how you make it work for you after using it for a while. Just to give it a little bit of additional flavour, I use their corresponding spod syrup just to soak the boilie in, just like that. And then the magic happens, actually putting the method mix on. And the great thing is, that I like about it is you can use a mould. I tend to find it a little bit easier just, doing it by hand. But the remnants of whatever falls off actually sticks onto the boilie. So, it's the little things that count, I suppose. But other than that, we're ready to go. So for this rod, there is a willow tree to my left hand side, which looks very appealing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sit off, I think, where should we go? Actually, we'll let a little bit more line through, and then what we'll do is I think we'll just chuck it off the corner there and see how we go. Especially in these warmer days, you want to take advantage of any features that you've got on the water, such as overhanging trees, willow trees, anything as such really. But obviously we've got to play it, you know, by where they're showing. There's been a few fish or bubbles as such coming up from the bottom around there, so we're going to see if we can manage to tempt a carp at least. Obviously fishing within close proximity, you want the lines to be fairly slack. This other rod is just down to my right hand side, just below that tree there, so we're really going to see how it goes in the margins, but just get that tension, let that tension a little bit lighter just so it can take that line, and then there we go. Flight alarm on, and then obviously got to have your good luck mascot, although his hat is going apart a little bit there, and then just over the top, just a little bit additional, just a small load of method mix there. We'll just chuck that around sort of the tree to get one just in the middle there, and then a little bit just actually on the spot, and that'll be me for the rest of the morning. I genuinely won't chuck a mass amount of bait out because I want to be able to entice the fish into smaller amounts of baits, especially from where the margins and, you know, areas such as that tree is going to be naturally rich with food anyway that the fish are going to be feeding off from. So a little bit of bait out over the top, keep that area fed, and then once you start actually catching fish as such and presenting it in the same spot with the same, you know, method mix as such, then really you're doing everything else that you need to do really. So anyway, chuck all this back. Oh, that right hand rod there, look, bobbin shot up a little bit there. Chuck an extra boilie out over there, why not? But yeah, there we go. We're actually fishing now. There is a duck over there though. But yeah, we're actually fishing now. So to actually complete the loop, complete the circle, we've actually got a land of fish. So I wonder which rod is it that's going to go first. I'm going to say it's going to be the left hand rod. Just got a feeling. Yeah, there's carp on the surface over there. But yeah, I'm really hoping, and there's some nice, there you go, got some bubbles coming up there. It's probably going to be the littler ones, probably the silvers. There are silvers in this lake. It is a coarse lake, and there are bream, etc. in here. But yeah, especially when it comes to targeting carp, that is where we're going for. So anyway, right, I'll catch you all in a little bit, hopefully with the carp bank side, but if not, still got plenty and plenty left of time. Well everyone, we're about halfway through the day now, and we have had bankside visitors, and you're probably asking, why have we not seen them? Well, there is a story to that, and the story is that this particular fish starts with B and ends in M. Now, for all the anglers out there, you probably already know what fish it is. It is a bream. Now, it's action. You know, it's not exactly what we're targeting, but it's action. We've had 4 bream, and they absolutely love this willow tree. All of the takes, all the bream I've landed have been on this left-hand rod here, underneath that willow tree. So whether there's like a bream corner, if you are into bream fishing, and you end up coming to peg 13 here, that willow tree there is a bream's paradise. There are so many bream in there, and they were actually quite big bream. Some of them were pretty huge, to be fair, and some of the takes were quite savage, and I was like, we are definitely into a carp here, but no. So anyway, we've had 4 bream. But anyway, speaking of carp, I'm now going to talk about a feeling. All right, and this particular feeling has been experienced by anglers all over the world, and it's this feeling which we prepare for each time we step out of the car or however you get to your fishery and start walking round, and you just embrace that feeling. You don't think about it, but without even knowing, you just embrace that feeling. And that feeling is losing a carp or losing a fish. Now, I tell you, I mean, right. I've only got myself to blame for this. All right, there's no other mechanics at fault here. It is me. So these 4 bream which I've had, after the initial 10 seconds, you very much know that you've got a bream on the line. Now the right hand rod, which is tucked against a tree to my right hand side, went off. Very, very slow take. I thought, yeah, I thought, that's an interesting take. So I picked up the rods and it was just plodding along, and I just thought, this is a bream. I've already embraced it. This is a bream. It really didn't take long in order to just get it about 3-4 rod lengths out from the bank. And, I went and got my net and I thought, this is it. This is a bream. And all of a sudden, it took a bit of line. I thought, okay, hang on a minute. And then just started plodding along again. And I thought, right, this is definitely a bream. It's had an overexcited moment and it's taken some line. Anyway, I carried on reeling it in and it came to the surface. And when I tell you, this is probably one of the most pristine looking dark mirrors I've ever seen, it's an understatement. The fish was majestic. I thought, how has this happened? And within that moment, I've just completely lost focus, let the pressure go, and the hook's pulled. I just thought to myself, how have you let that happen, Cal? You silly sausage. Honestly, it was, I cannot explain to you how gorgeous this carp was. And I just, yeah, total lapse of concentration, total lapse of judgment, and I've let probably one of the nicest carp that I'd ever had the pleasure to catch go. It was a proper dark mirror, and yeah, gone. So I mean, the reality is that the fish that you put loads of effort into getting onto the bank and the hook pulls is gutting and devastating. This one, I'm even more gutted and devastated at myself because of my silly lapse of judgment in terms of losing it. So we would have had a cracking carp in order to show, but we don't, and that is all my fault. So silly. And the feeling after that was just, bream or not, I cannot lose concentration. And the thing that, I mean, I don't know, I really don't know what happened. It's just like the fact of just catching bream and going, oh, it's definitely a bream, and then going to a carp. Yeah, just silly little things like that. And it just gets the best of you. So Carp 1, Carp Cal 0 at this moment in time. But anyway, it is what it is. It's a very painstaking, it's gutting. I tell you, if for anyone who watches this channel and doesn't fish and just enjoys the videos, oh god, I'm like getting like goosebumps on my arm from just speaking about it. I just tend to find that whenever I have a hook pull, I mean, I've not got a photographic memory, but I tell you what, I would be able to replay every second of that fight, no matter how long it was, just analysing just little bits of where it went wrong. Yeah, it's gutting. I'm not going to talk about it no more because it's not going to happen again. This is not happening again. It's not, I'm not allowing it. That is it. No more. It's not happening. But anyway, other than that, we've had fun, which is good. And both rods are still producing bites, which is also good. They're probably due to get sent back out again in a minute and just put some bait over the top. Do the second round of bait from this morning. But yeah, other than that, a few people have had stuff around the lakes, which is good. So that is good to see. But as I say, halfway through the day, we're not even halfway through the session. We've got plenty of time. You'll also notice I'm kind of under a bit of a cover here. That is because the wind's really picked up, really has picked up, and it's meant to be quite windy tomorrow. So anyway, this is just totally, I used to have this set up. So this is a JRC Defender shelter, and over there is my Fox Easy Shelter Plus. Both brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So compact, lightweight, so easy to set up. And I've put my little picnic table in here with my tea making equipment, very important. And I love it. I think it's great. I can happily sit out here till late. If it rains, ain't got to worry. Yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, I'm very happy with everything. Just not happy about what happened earlier, which I spoke about, which I'm not going to talk about again. But that's that. But anyway, part of fishing is what it is. We've got the rest of the day to carry on. Got my laptop here, so I'm going to be doing a few bits and bobs and sorting some bits while I'm here. And also got Netflix on here as well, which is good. So can't go too wrong with that. Anyway, cup of tea, rest of the day. I'll catch you in a little bit. So guys, we started off the day with a little bit of Carp Cal magic. This one really wants to go back, so I won't hold them out for too much longer. This is an absolutely gorgeous common carp. I've not weighed it, probably just below or above 10, 11 pounds. Absolutely pristine. What a way to start the day. And we've got another carp in the net, and this one's quite bigger, shall I say. But yeah, absolutely smashing. Get a quick photo, get this one back, and then get the other one out. But cracking start to the session. Brilliant. Well guys, we've absolutely smashed the session target. 21.5 pounds this one. And it is very, very active. So we'll see if he manages to play ball. But there we go. Look at that for a carp. That is absolutely magnificent. 21.5 pounds full of absolute chunk of a common carp. Absolutely fantastic. Really, I'm over the moon. This is a quality fish. I'll show you the other side and then get some photos and then we'll get it back. But wowee, absolutely magnificent. So guys, I'll just show you the other side here. Wowee, that is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've got to get some carp care applied to some of its scales there before it goes. Get some quality photos and then we'll get it back. But absolutely unbelievable, incredible. Yeah, photos and get it back. But this is it guys, Hartley Lands Reservoir, fantastic. Well everyone, we're well into the afternoon now, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, sort of heading towards sort of early evening time, and our good friend the rain has made an appearance. We had a slight shower for about 5 or so minutes or so, then nothing, and then a slight shower again, all over the space of about half an hour. It seems to have gone away now, but there are some dark rain clouds over to my left hand side that are slowly moving their way in. But I mean, I don't mind, we're all away in our trusty little JRC Defender shelter, which is going to keep me all dry in here. As I say, I've got everything I need, which is great, so I don't mind too much. Nothing compares to that first session on Prairie, first video we made on this channel. Gone quite fast since then, but yeah, that was unbelievable. The rain was just it was just torrential at times. It really was. Thunder, lightning, the lot. But we seem to do quite well during the rain, so I'm not gonna speak too badly about the rain. But anyway, in terms of the session, I mean, that is the quickest I've ever had a session target completed, first day. In terms of quantity of carp, we're now on 6. So in the last sort of hour or so since I last spoke to you, we've had 4 carp, all courtesy of that right hand rod. That spot by that tree is really producing. There are carp all over that spot, carp on the surface, bubbles coming up at the bottom, and that's exactly what you want. And I'm happy now because I know that method mix, every time I put a rig in, is going to do enough to keep the fish interested. But yeah, we landed both of those fish. It was a moment of chaos really. The right hand rod went and that did go, and it's getting to the point where I was happy, going to get it in the net. And the left hand rod went, and then first of all it was a bit bobbing, came up, came down, stayed in the middle, came up again. I just thought, this is a bream if anything. No, certainly wasn't. That started taking line as well, and it was game on. Managed to net the first fish, and thankfully the second fish, which was a 21.5 pounder on the left hand rod, which I'm now starting to think about that willow tree, that bream corner a little bit differently now. We managed to land it, which is great, and they were 2 cracking carp. That 21.5 pounder, that's my biggest carp I've had out of reservoir. So a personal lake best, shall we say. So yeah, in terms of sessions, it's been an absolutely fantastic start. I have been a little bit of a sausage, shall we say, I have forgotten my USB Apple charger. So I've got a USB-C one that plugs into a USB-C port, but I've forgotten just a standard USB cable. And the problem is that I've not charged the USB-C compatible portable charger enough. It's on 2 bars. It's now on 1. So that's a bit of a problem. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful in terms of using our phone and how much footage that we get at one time. But, you know, it shouldn't be a problem. We'll make it work. You know, that's the thing. Faces, you know, dilemmas, overcome them, which I hope anyway. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. So as we go into the evening, we'll start getting dinner ready. Put another cup of tea on. I think I've not had one since all that chaos. Yeah, see what the rest of the evening, late afternoon brings. I'm absolutely chuffed with how well this session is doing, and it is great fun. Goes to show, runs lakes, you really cannot beat them. But anyway, let's carry on, and I'll let you know of any other bankside visitors, and hopefully we'll get some live Carp Cal action with the trusty chest phone holder. So that is my overall aim and goal now, session target wise, to get live action of actually playing a fish with the chest holder. So see if we can do it. But anyway, I will catch you all in a little bit. Well, everyone, as you can see, the evening is now officially concluded. We are now into the night time, and it's been quite a nice hour or so, rather uneventful. And it's just been nice just to take into account all of your surroundings and just enjoy the peace of the night, I suppose. But we have got a little bit of a problem. My battery is very low, so it's going to be quite a quick sign off for me for tonight. It shouldn't be a problem tomorrow because I'm going to intermittently charge it on my car, which is not too far away, in between during the day, just so I can get some charge. But as I say, for tonight, I've really got to preserve my battery life, only because I've got to get up in the morning via my phone alarm, and I've also got to make sure that I have enough battery to at least film anything that we get during the night that we bring out. So yeah, however, I've had a very enjoyable day. I'm thoroughly looking forward to tonight, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. So it's been a really good day, which is great. So anyway, as I say, quick sign off for me for tonight, but if we don't get any bankside visitors, I will see you all in the morning. Good night. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to a very windy morning today. Wind has certainly picked up. It was forecast to pick up. And it's meant to stay windy for the rest of the day, which is what it is, but the cloud cover is really good and the temperature is still fairly moderate, so hopefully it encourages the fish to keep on feeding. In terms of last night, it rains, not a massive amount, but between 12 and 1, and I was pretty tired, so I was very much wishing for a full night's sleep, and which we did get. So there was no action last night. Phone lasted throughout until it's 1% this morning, just enough in order to set the phone alarm off and wake me up. So went down to the car, charged that, and put the right hand rod out, and had 2 carp in very quick succession off that spot. Didn't even get the chance to put the left hand rod out, but that right hand rod, that spot is really producing, which is great. So yeah, fingers crossed it carries on into the rest of the day. As I say, it's not meant to rain, but we'll just see how it goes. But cloud cover, as I say, is really good, really good for today. It's just seeing if we can get a few more carp, which hopefully we do. Hopefully get a carp on live action on the chest mount here. So yeah, that's the overall session target for today. But either way, gonna get a cup of tea, put breakfast on, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a few more carp throughout the day. I will, before I go, show you the spots that I've been feeding and that the rigs have been placed in. But that right hand spot by that tree, as I said earlier, the great thing is that once you've got a spot that's continuously feeding, it does help every so often, and I say every so often, to put a bit of bait out on that spot. But the method feeder will do the work for you. It will keep that spot nice and enticing for the carp and fish in order to feed on. We've not had a bream yet, so I'm waiting for the first bream. I'm sure it won't be too long. Yeah, we'll see which rod it is. I think it's probably going to be the right hand rod. That willow tree now has gone fairly quiet, so I've said it now. But we'll see how we do. Anyway, got the rest of the day. Hopefully we'll get a few more carp, keep you updated throughout. And yeah, fingers crossed, no rain. So I will catch you all in a little bit. So guys, we're about halfway through the afternoon and I must first apologise, it's very windy, so if any of the wind gets picked up on the mic, as I say, I do apologise. But in terms of action, we've had a few more carp. That right hand rod, that spot is really doing well. Providing the fact they've been all under £5, it's still good fun, but the most frustrating thing for me is that any time I get a take or a run, I've either got the phone in the car charging, or I've got it here and I've got it in a chest mount, and for battery I've got to turn it off for a little while, or I just take it out of the chest mount for 1 second and then the rod ends up going off. So you know, it is what it is, but I will try my best to at least get one live take and at least me trying to play a fish on camera. But we've got plenty of sessions to do that anyway. But now let's speak a little bit about where the spots have been working. So the first spot I'm going to speak about is where my left hand rod has been, and it's this willow tree here. Now I'm talking about specifically where the willow meets the water, so where those willow sort of leaves meet the water. What I found is that from fishing this swim for over a day or so, and getting the opportunity in order to see, you know, whereabouts the spots are, I found that it's fairly clear under there. Now it's going to change most likely, especially, you know, as the wind picks up. I imagine there's going to be a few more leaves and small twigs that are going to sort of clog up around that area, but for now it's fairly clear. Now anywhere near on the outside of where the willow meets the water, just in front, just behind, anywhere around that spot has worked well. Providing the fact we've had a few bream, we have had that carp, that session personal best from that willow tree there. So anywhere around that spot there works really well. Handful of bait over the top. Don't overbait it too often, because from my left hand side here, it's so naturally rich with insects on the water. There's quite a lot of reeds and underwater growth sort of quite close in. The carp are naturally going to be feeding there anyway, so entice them, you know, by a little bit of bait. And you know, for me, especially whether you use PVA bags or, you know, the method feeder, you're going to be naturally, you know, continuing to bait that same spot anyway. So, you know, don't overload it too much. But it has worked. We've not had anything on it from today, but I imagine, you know, we could just be waiting for that one take before we go, and it could produce another stunner like that carp last night. So as I say, plenty of time, an hour or 2 hours or so, still enough in order to get that good chance. But what I'll do now is I'll show you the second spot of which we've been fishing, and then we'll come back here and we'll speak a little bit more about the lake and a little bit more about what I found in terms of the carp's behaviours, especially from where it's been sunny and the carp being on the surface. So I'll literally see you in just a second. So guys, this second spot is half a rod length out from where the weed line is and all the various sort of plants and reeds. Half a rod length out, literally just underneath where all this sort of congregation of all the small little twigs and little branches are. Half a rod length out underneath. Now what I've been using as a marker is these twigs and leaves. So around this corner, if I try and show you, you see that there's a handful of twigs and branches that go out. So in terms of this end branch, which is just over here, I don't know if you can see it, not past that point, so half a rod length out, not past the point from where all the trees and sort of little twigs end, and you worked into a really good spot. Same again, fairly clear around there. There's not a lot of underwater features, but that will change in terms of the winds. Keep it fairly close in as well, so from this point, from where the reeds go out, half a rod length up, and you'll do well. But don't go too far around, because it does tend to get a little bit more clogged up the further around you go, especially from where this side, no one can go past you and fish that side. But don't have your rod too far around, because if you get a very active carp and it takes your rig all the way around, you've got plenty more of the lake up towards this way, and you've got people fishing in the opposite swim, so you've got to be a little bit careful about that. But as I say, half a rod length out from where the reed line is, not past the end of where the twigs and trees overhang the water, and you've got a good spot there. So anyway, that is the second spot, which has been producing well. Handful of bait over the top, naturally rich again in the margins with food for carp, so only a little bit find entices the carp more. But anyway, we'll go back and speak about the rest of the session, but that is the second spot. So guys, they are the spots that have worked for me, and the great thing is you know, I love going to, I mean, I've not fished this lake in a long time, and this swim, I've not fished it before. So I love going to new places, new venues, new swims, and finding out the spots that work. And once you know them, you can't go too wrong in the future by coming back and placing a rig in those spots. Obviously, you know, it's good to be in a mindset that they're not always going to be in that spot, and there are other spots which they're going to coast to, certainly during certain times of the day. Found that more towards the evening time, these spots, or late afternoon, as I say, most of the carp have been producing in that left-hand spot more towards the afternoon, but the right-hand rods, that has really produced all time rounds. I think that is because from where, you know, this lake actually, how it works is you've got two swims opposite me, and then you've got a big bowl of water at the end, and no one can fish from any of the swims on the outside, so it's going to be fairly quiet in there. The carp are probably going to like to congregate in there. And from a lot of the patterns that I've seen from the carp yesterday, especially beyond the surface, a lot of them like coasting this reed line, going to the willow tree. Some will continue coasting down, and some will go out to the middle. So yeah, those spots, as I say, they do work, but obviously, you know, be careful, they're not always going to work all the time. But for me, that's what worked this session. But anyway, I've got to the point now where it's quite sad to say that I've got to start packing things away, or see if I can get at least one opportunity in order to get a fish on the chest mount, but if not, plenty of sessions for it. But anyway, the sad part of the day, starting to pack up, still going to leave the rods in the water. Just want to give myself plentiful time in order to get everything to the car. But if we get any bankside visitors, I will see you then. But if not, I'll see you towards probably the end of the session. So I'll catch you all in a little bit. Well guys, we never said to doubt the willow tree, and we certainly haven't. This is a cracking carp in order to finish our session off. And there we go, look at that. Absolutely beautiful for a carp. Just gone about 15 pounds, so cracking double figure carp this is, but what a way in order to finish a session off. And I could not be happier, so brilliant times, brilliant stuff. Absolutely love this lake. Get some photos, get this back and get packed up, well, the rest of it, very quickly, but absolutely beautiful, love it. I'll see you guys in a minute. Well guys, it's that time, it's the end of the session. Sad time always packing up from the bank, but it won't be long until we're back. And we're back here next week, me and Grandad fishing Nick's Lake, which is just next door. So that is going to be a cracking session. Hopefully we get Grandad his first carp of the year. And do you know what? This lake, I thoroughly recommend. It's a great way in order to be able to learn new things, especially in fishing, by fighting all the feisty F1 carp, but there's also the chance of catching the unknown. And we caught some wonderful carp, especially courtesy of that willow tree there. So it's been really enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to be back. But if you guys have got any questions as such, please feel free to comment down below, and please feel free to head on over to my Instagram, Carp Cal. I've linked it in the description. If you want to send me a message on there, and then please, you know, feel free to do so. The ability to enhance other people's knowledge in terms of angling is a great thing, and I'm very much vouch for that. So any tips and tricks you guys have for me, you know, please do feel free to let me know. But until next time, I'm thoroughly looking forward to being back. But as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next adventure. Take care.